You to put your microphone on.
With the permission of my lord, I start the proceedings.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have assembled here for the full court farewell reference in honor of Honorable Mr. Justice Biswanath Somadder, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, who is due to
Sikkim,
Sikkim, sorry, my lord, who is due to
which is a part of India.
demit office with effect from the midnight of 14th of December 2025, after a long, very long, in fact, distinguished and illustrious career as the Chief Justice of the High Court of Sikkim. We have also been joined by Ma'am. Your daughter.
Honorable Justice Somadder, the Chief Justice of the Honorable High Court of Sikkim, Honorable Justice M.M. Rai, Honorable Justice B.R. Pradhan, Honorable Retired Justice A.P. Shubha and Justice Wangdi, Madam Somadder, learned Additional Advocate Generals, the judicial members, learned senior counsels of the bar, other colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered it today. It is indeed a painful occasion, but it is something which we cannot at all avoid. During the long career of about 5 decades, I have seen this honorable court being ornamented by very eminent judges, but we had to bid farewell to them with grave heart, which is but unavoidable. Now, Honorable the Chief Justice Somadder, as the Chief Justice of this honorable court, was, so far as his life is concerned, because I have been given the task of opening this and address. Therefore, we are to be appreciated with the life as well as tenure of the Honorable Chief Justice, his performance. So far as I could understand, Justice Somadder was born on 15/12/63, has carved an illustrious career in the Indian judicial system, leaving an inedible mark on the legal landscape of the country. His journey from a law student to the Chief Justice of the High Court of this state is, of course, a testament to his dedication, expertise, and commitment to upholding the principles of justice. The commencement of his legal career dates back to 21/7/89, when he was enrolled as an advocate. Justice Somadder exhibited versatility by practicing in both the High Court at Calcutta and the Supreme Court of India. Also appeared before Central Excise and Service Tax Appellate Tribunal and Constitutional, Customs and Central Excise, FERA, Telecommunication, Education Service and Income Tax, etc., arbitration, company, revenue, civil and criminal matters. He was appointed as senior counsel for the central government in Calcutta High Court. Simultaneously appointed as honorary joint secretary of the Bar Library Club of Calcutta High Court. Justice Somadder's judicial journey took a significant turn when he was elevated to the bench of the High Court at Calcutta as a permanent judge on 22/6/2006. Justice Somadder was appointed as the executive chairman of the State Legal Services Authority West Bengal by the Governor of West Bengal on 5/11/18. Subsequently, he assumed the role of judge in charge, Administrative Department, High Court of Calcutta, effective from 19/11/18. The year 2019 witnessed Justice Somadder briefly stepping into the shoes of the acting Chief Justice from January 1 to April 3. On 17/10/19, Justice Somadder took charge as a judge of the Allahabad High Court, expanding his judicial footprint. This was a prelude to his elevation as the Chief Justice of the Meghalaya High Court, where he took the oath of office on 27/4/20. In a noteworthy move, Justice Biswanath Somadder was subsequently transferred to this honorable court of Sikkim on 12/10/21. He took the oath of office as the Chief Justice, continuing his legacy of service and leadership in the Indian judiciary. Justice Somadder's constant efforts in nurturing a cordial and respectful relationship between bar and bench have truly strengthened the fabric of our justice delivery system. His approachability, fairness, and encouragement towards members of the bar have fostered a spirit of cooperation and mutual trust. His Lordship's court has been a model of decorum, where every advocate, senior or junior, felt heard, valued, and encouraged. Justice Somadder's tenure stands as a testament to harmonious collaboration between the bar and the bench and the supporting staff, an example that will be remembered with deep respect and admiration. Now, so far as this part is concerned regarding the life and achievement of the Honorable Chief Justice, so far as judgments delivered by the Honorable Chief Justice, I remember one or two cases in which I had the occasion to appear. In the case of Hon'ble, which is a case in which the government had taken a policy that one member of each family be given employment. But the method of giving the employment was not as per Constitution. Therefore, I had the occasion to challenge that appointment. Of course, about 13,000 incumbents were there. They were all employed. The Honorable Court looked the matter into humanitarian consideration and substantive justice. That is what we expect from the Honorable Court. As a writ jurisdiction, our perhaps duty is to see all these aspects as well. Not only concrete law, jungle of law. We have numbers of laws, constitutional laws. We have to see only that the fundamental right is not violated. Apart from this, although I lost this case on humanitarian consideration as well as considering the members of the family of those 13,000 youngsters, the Honorable Court was pleased to pass the order in their favor. So this humanitarian aspect and approach of the Honorable Court is really appreciable. And I still remember about that case, and I feel myself proud to have taken part in such a decision-making process, my lord. In another case of missing children, wherein about 13 young children from Sikkim got away from their homes, Honorable Justice was pleased to direct the authorities that yes, you should report and apprise this court what actions you have taken. I feel monitoring by the honorable courts in such matters is very essential. And ultimately, the honorable court was also pleased. I believe Justice Meenakshi was also a part of that decision, especially in my case. So both the honorable judges were pleased to observe that no. What action you have taken for not only these 13 boys and girls who are missing, but for others also, you find out, you search, you see, and you ponder what happens to those children. So, justice does not only stop in certain situation wherein the judgment is delivered and the file is put to address. No, it cannot be put to rest. The Honorable Court was pleased to observe like this. So far as his other judgments, as I have come across in Meghalaya also, similar judgments were delivered by the Honorable Court. I believe my other friends will highlight on the issue, and I don't want to take the valuable time of this full court. My Lord, in conclusion, what I beg to state is that as we gather on this last working day to bid farewell to the Honorable Chief Justice, Somadder, we extend our deepest respect and heartfelt gratitude for his invaluable contribution to the bar and the bench. His Lordship's warmth, humility, and unwavering dedication to substantial justice have left an enduring mark on all of us. We wish His Lordship the very best for the next chapter of his journey. May it be filled with good health, fulfillment, and continued service to the cause of justice in whichever way he chooses. The High Court will always carry with his legacy, and bar will remember him with admiration and affection. Thank you, my Lord.
Honorable the Chief Justice Sri Biswanath Somadder, Madam Somadder, Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Honorable Justice A.P. Subba, retired High Court Judge, Honorable S.P. Wongdis, sir, Honorable retired High Court Judge, learned Registrar, officials of the High Court Registry, Judicial Officer, respected senior advocates, learned friends at the bar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a deeply personal privilege for me as the Additional Advocate General to speak today on the occasion that is at once formal yet profoundly emotional. The ceremonial reference to bid farewell to the Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Biswanath Somadder, the 24th Chief Justice of the High Court of Sikkim. My Lord's journey begins far from these mountains in the city of Calcutta, where he was born on 15 December 1963. From the historic corridors and playing fields of La Martin School, Calcutta, an institution known for its discipline and excellence, he imbibed early the values of integrity, hard work, and leadership. My Lord went on to complete his BA LLB from the University of Calcutta, and significantly for his generations also undertook a certificate course in office automation tools at the Regional Computer Center in Calcutta. A small but telling the details that shows how early he understood that technology would save the future of justice system. Many years later, as a Chief Justice in different high courts, the openness to change and technology would translate into sustained support for e-courts, video conferencing, and more accessible courts process. My lord was enrolled as an advocate on 21st July 1989. He practiced in the High Court at Calcutta and in the Supreme Court of India, and often appeared before the Sistat Eastern Regional Bench. His work spanned constitutional law, customs and central excise, FERA, telecommunications, education, service, income tax, arbitration, company, revenue, civil and criminal matters, with a particular specialization in revenue, arbitrations, and constitutional law. The Union of India reposed its faith in his abilities, and when he was appointed senior counsel for the central government in the Calcutta High Court, the bar too recognized his leadership by electing him honorary joint secretary of the bar library of the court. Those who knew him in those years speaks of a counsel who argued firmly but fairly, prepared rigorously, and never allowed volumes to substitute for clarity. On 26 June 2006, my lord was elevated as a permanent judge of the Calcutta High Court. In 2018, he was appointed executive chairman of the West Bengal State Legal Services Authority, and soon thereafter, the judge in charge of the administrative department of that court. Roles which honed his administrative acumen and his concerns for legal aid and access to justice. From 1st January to 3rd April 2019, he served as acting Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court. My lord was then transferred as a judge of the Allahabad High Court, assuming charge on 17th October 2019. Very soon thereafter, in April 2020, he was appointed as a Chief Justice of the Meghalaya High Court and took oath on 27th April 2020. At the very height of the national-wide COVID-19 lockdown, and here lies one of the most charming and inspiring anecdotes from my lord's life. With flights suspended and trains not running due to the lockdown, Justice Somadder drove nearly 2,000 kilometers by road from Allahabad to Ceylon via Kolkata to ensure that he could assume office on time and that the new High Court in Meghalaya did not remain without a Chief Justice. It was not his first such long journey by road. He has previously driven from Kolkata to Ladakh, along the English countryside, and even from Brisbane to Sydney, but it is perhaps the only time in our judicial history that an appointment order read almost like the route plan of an endurance rally. As someone who now has the privilege of bearing and arguing before your lordship in Sikkim, a state where driving on a winding mountain road is a way of life, I must confess that this particular story has always made the bar secretly proud. Our Chief Justice did not merely take the charge, he drove it to it. On 12th October 2021, my lord took oath as the 24th Chief Justice of the High Court of Sikkim and has since been the patron-in-chief of Sikkim Judicial Academy. In the last 4-year but intense year, he has left a deep and lasting imprint on the jurisprudence and administrations of justice in our state. One reads across his judgment from Kolkata and Allahabad to Shillong and Gangtok, a few constant themes emerge: a deep sense of fairness, a refusal to ignore lived realities, and a disciplined adherence to statutory texts and constitutional principle. The law in his hands is never abstract. It is always anchored in how people actually live. In a judgment in 2011, sitting in a Calcutta High Court, my lord considered a challenge to a rule that denied house rent allowance to a married couple because their workplaces were only 225 kilometers apart. Instead of the earlier thresholds of 250 kilometers, he observed that the transport infrastructure of a country is not so developed that a couple can reasonably live together and commute daily to workplace so far apart, prompting the state to revise the criteria and reduce the distance of requirement to 150 kilometers and even lower in difficult hill and jungle areas. It was a small case on its facts, but it showed a judge who understood both the constraints of infrastructure and the dignity of ordinary working families. As Chief Justice of Meghalaya, he presided over matters that touched upon some of the most sensitive questions of our time: public health, civil liberties, and the environment. In challenge to restrictions that effectively penalize unvaccinated persons by denying him to access to livelihood and public spaces, his bench struck a careful balance, emphasizing that the state may encourage vaccination, but the solution to a public health crisis cannot be to create a larger constitutional problem by infringing fundamental rights. In another matter involving the cutting of a large number of trees for the widening of the Shillong-Dawaki road, he insisted that development and ecology must be harmonized, leading to the creations of mechanism for expert scrutiny and mitigations, a pattern we have seen him follow in environment matters here in Sikkim, as well as including concerns about effluents discharged by pharmaceutical units in Singtam. Pausing here for a moment, my lords, we were part of that litigation, and my lords has framed on rules and regulations has also come up. Here in Sikkim, several of my lord's judgment will long remain reference points in court on its own motion versus Ministry of Surface Transport, that's the PL10, concerning the requiring damage to National Highway 10, the lifeline linking Sikkim to the rest of India. His bench treated connectivity not as a mere engineering issues, but as a matter of constitutional obligation, issuing focused directions to ensure that bureaucratic delays did not keep the entire state hostage to bad roads and landslide. In a suo matter relating to missing child, my Lord's court made it clear that merely tracing a child and closing the file is not enough. The system must ask why the child went missing and address the structural causes that make children vulnerable. The insistence on going beyond surface compliance to substantial justice is a hallmark of his approach. In matters arising from the state one family, one job policy, his court recognized that the scheme of a beneficial character and its impact on thousands of families, refusing to take a narrow view that would destroy the legitimate expectations of those already engaged in service. At the same time, in taxation matters under statute like GST Act, his judgment have firmly reiterated that the perceived hardship cannot be a ground to rewrite clear legislative provisions, a reminder that a compassion must operate within the discipline of law and not outside. In arbitration too, his opinions, including those rendered here in Sikkim under the Act, have emphasized that the limited scope of judicial interference with arbitral awards, thereby strengthening India's reputation as an arbitration-friendly jurisdiction. My lords, has also understood not only the justice system, but also does not flow from a well-reasoned judgment. It also depends on the strong institution, infrastructure, and human procedures. As executive chairman of the West Bengal State Legal Service Authority, he gave renowned momentum to legal aid and outreach programs. In Meghalaya, under his stewardship, the separations of judiciary from executive in several districts, a long pending reform was finally effected, even amidst the disruptions of the pandemic. After inaugurations of observations of home, my lord spoke a paradigm shift in how the system treats the children in conflict with the law, moving away from housing then with the adult convicts towards spaces designed for observation, counseling, and rehabilitation. The vision of compassionate child-centered justice system is very much in keeping with the jurisprudence we have seen from his court. In Sikkim, he has continued this institution building with characteristic energy. Only recently, my lord has laid the foundation stone for the sub-divisional court complex at Yangon in Soaring, a modern four-story facility with dedicated space for digitalization, e-seva services, and inclusive amenities. This is not just a building plan. It is a physical manifestation of how we believe courts should feel to the ordinary citizen: accessible, safe, respectful, and technologically up to date. As a patron-in-chief of the Sikkim Judicial Academy. He has also encouraged robust training programs for judicial officers, emphasizing continuous learning, ethics, and sensitivity to the special context of a small border state with diverse communities. On my personal note, and on behalf of the learned Advocate General, my brother, Additional Advocate General, and the families of the Advocate General's office, my lords, and the entire state, my lord, on a mere personal note, I wish to say that the bar in Sikkim has come to value not only your erudition, but also your unfading courtesy. You have always given us a patient hearing, yet never permitted us to lose sight of the real issue. Many a long-winded submissions has been gently but firmly refocused by a single question from the bench. Many a young lawyers has left the court that day both chastened and encouraged. Those who had prior occasions to appear before your lordship in other jurisdictions have seen the same qualities travel with you, from the plains of Ganga to the hills of the Meghalaya and the mountains of Sikkim. A sharp legal mind, a dry and understated sense of humor, and a deep commitment to the dignity of every person before the court. If I may be forgiven one light-hearted observation for all your love of long road journeys, my Lord has never allowed any matter to take an unnecessary long journey through his court. The file may travel across states, but in his court, it travels briskly from pleadings to principles to conclusions. On conclusion, my Lord, as you deem it, this office, the state of Sikkim, the office of the Advocate General and its bar, join me in expressing our profound gratitude for your service as jurist, as administrator, and as a friend of this small but proud Himalayan state. You have strengthened our institution, enriched our jurisprudence, and reminded us by example that duty sometimes means driving 2,000 kilometers in the middle of pandemic and lockdown, and sometimes means simply listening with patience and humility to a young lawyer finding his or her feet. On behalf of the state of Sikkim and in my own personal capacity, and along with my brothers of the EG office and the bar, I wish you, your lordship, and your family good health, happiness, and many more fulfilling journeys in the years ahead. It is my sincere hope that even after you lay down the rope, your associations with Sikkim, with its bench, bar, and people, will continue in many forms. May the road ahead be as scenic as the drives you enjoy, but far less demanding, and may this new innings be filled with peace, purpose, and the quiet satisfaction of a life lived in the service of justice. Thank you, my Lord.
Honorable Mr. Justice Biswanath Somadder, Chief Justice of this court. Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Judge, High Court. Honorable Mr. Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Judge of this High Court. Honorable Mr. Justice A.P. Supa, former Judge of this High Court. Honorable Mr. Justice Sonampinso Wangdi, former Judge of this High Court. Learned Registrar General, learned Registrar, learned Judicial Officers, learned senior colleagues, brother and sister of bar, and other distinguished guests. I would not repeat what has been said by my former speakers. So I'll come to what is the Lordship has done in this court. So on behalf of the Sikkim High Court Bar Association, it is both an honor and a moment of deep emotion to offer this farewell reference as we bid adieu to Honorable Chief Justice Biswanath Somadder on demitting of his distinguished tenure as a Chief Justice of the High Court of Sikkim. My Lord Chief Justice tenure in this august institution has been marked by administrative vision, judicial brilliance, and a sincere commitment to the welfare of all who serve within this institution. His Lordship profound knowledge of constitutional law and diverse branches of jurisprudence has left an indelible imprint on the judicial landscape of the state, in particularly PIL concerning the national highway had a transformative impact. Thorough, continuous monitoring and timely direction, the progress of the highway was ensured, resulting in significantly improved road connectivity. Today, the people of Sikkim travel with a far greater ease and safety. His Lordship also introduced important amendment to the PP rules and a direction particularly enabling local council to act as an advocate on record for outside council are steps that greatly empower the local bar. On behalf of one of the hallmark of his Lordship tenure has been his emphasis on promoting legal awareness among the bar. His Lordship encouraged intellectual engagement by inviting distinguished legal mind, most notably Senior Advocate Sri Kapil Sibal, to enlighten the bar and the larger community on pressing issues of law, justice, and constitutional values. His Lordship also displayed an extraordinary sensitivity to social concern, recognizing the alarming rise of suicide cases in the state. His Lordship initiated generating awareness program by inviting experts in mental health and counseling. Under his guidance, a 24/7 helpline was established to provide timely support and intervention, a measure that reflects compassion, empathy, and deep concern for the people of Sikkim. On administrative side, several far-reaching reforms were introduced with a view to strengthening the institutions and enhancing the welfare of its staff. His Lordship's decision to grant menstruation leave to women employees of the High Court was a progressive and human step, reflecting the great sensitivity towards the need of sexual and reproductive rights of women and ensuring the dignity of women in the workplace. Similarly, His Lordship ensured the extension of medical facilities to all High Court staff, thereby safeguarding their health and well-being. The extension of the retirement age of the staff has also proved invaluable financial security and stability to many families. These measures demonstrate not only administrative foresight, but a deep sense of empathy and a concern for every member of the High Court fraternity. Honorable Chief Justice also undertook significant steps to improve access to justice in the state. Under his leadership, new courts were established across the districts, enabling citizens, especially the marginalized and needy, to be served at their very doorsteps. His Lordship ensured that vacancies across the subordinate judiciary were filled promptly through the appointment of civil judges with a great caliber, thereby strengthening the justice delivery system at the grassroots. His Lordship has also laid down the foundation for a long-term institutional growth. The High Court is now moving towards enhancing infrastructure, reflecting modern needs and a vision for future generations. Of particular significance is the establishment of the Sikkim National Law University, a landmark initiative that will nurture brilliant young legal minds and place Sikkim on the national map of a premier legal education. Time indeed flies. It seems only yesterday that your Lordship has assumed this esteemed office. And today we are gathered here to bid farewell. Retirement is the start of open highway. We wish Lordship to enjoy every miles of it. On behalf of SSCBA, we thank you, Lordship, for your distinguished service and pray that your years ahead brings good health, happiness, and fulfillment to Lordship and his family. Thank you, my Lord. And I'm sorry, I forgot to address in the beginning, Madam Somadder and her daughter also. My respect. Thank you.
Honorable Sri Justice Biswanath Somadder, Chief Justice, High Court of Sikkim, Madam Somadder and their daughter, Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Judge, High Court of Sikkim, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Honorable Mr. Justice A.P. Subba, former Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Honorable Mr. Justice S.P. Wongdi, former Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Learned Registrar General, Registrars, Officers of the Registry, Judicial Officers, respected senior advocates, learned, esteemed executive members of the Bar Association, my colleagues from the bar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we gather to honor a judge whose journey on the bench has been marked by intellectual sharpness, a disarming sense of humor, and a zest for life that rarely goes unnoticed. Farewells in the judiciary carry a peculiar weight. They are not solely ceremonial markers of time, but acknowledgements of journeys defined by integrity, conviction, and unwavering commitment to the law. My lords, if there is one thing that sets you apart, is that your life has always been like an open book. You've lived your years and your judgeship on your own terms, unfiltered, unpretentious, and refreshingly unartificial. My lords brought into the courtroom a mind both rigorous and nimble, one that could unpack the most complex legal propositions with ease and just as effortlessly break the tension of a heated hearing with a perfectly timed remark. Many of us will fondly recall moments when a single line from your lordship had the entire bar chuckling, even as we pretended to maintain our professional solemnity. It is rare to find a judge who can combine wisdom with wit so seamlessly. It is also well known within the bar that whenever any members approach your lordship, whether with concern, a request, or simply a greeting, you are consistently warm, gracious, and receptive. For a profession where the line between the bar and the bench is naturally formal, your cordiality has stood out. At the cost of reputation, for these contributions were rightly acknowledged when your lordship last visited the bar room. It bears brief reiteration that reflected a genuine concern for matters that the daily lives of our people, whether it was ensuring smooth movement along the vital roadways or strengthening institutional functioning. Your lordship brought an unmistakable clarity of purpose to the issue that matter. My lords, we're especially grateful for the concern and swift action your lordship displayed when we placed before you the serious difficulty caused by the odd even vehicle rule and lack of parking space that was hindering the movement of and functioning of lawyers. Within just a day, your lordship called me for a meeting with the Home Secretary, Law Secretary, and other officials in attendance. And in your typically subtle, understated yet highly effective manner, sent a message that was impossible to ignore. Your words to the authorities may have been wrapped in politeness, but the message was clear as a High Court ruling: resolve this or face the consequences. Beyond humor and intellect, what has truly distinguished your lordship's tenure is your deep concern for the state and its people. Whether it is your firm directives on the improvement of internal roads or your impassioned observations on the condition of the national highway, your interventions display the rare quality of a judge who does not see the law as an abstraction, but as a living instrument that must respond to real human situations. Having had the honor of assisting this honorable court as amicus curiae in some of these matters, I can say with confidence that your voice from the bench has translated into real change on the ground. As we stand here today, we recognize that every judge lives behind a legacy, some through their judgment, some through their temperament, some through the sincerity with which they walk their path. My lord's legacy is shaped by all three: intellectual clarity, humor that humanized the courtroom, and an unwavering commitment to the welfare of the state he served. In the spirit of the Dhammapada, which reminds us, the wise remain steady through praise and blame, for their strength lies in the clarity of their own path. We acknowledge the grace with which my lords carried both admiration and scrutiny, always grounded, always himself. On behalf of the Bar Association of Sikkim, we offer the deepest respect and our heartfelt gratitude and our warmest wishes. May the years ahead be generous, fulfilling, and every bit as vibrant as the life your lordship has always embraced. Thank you.
Honorable the Chief Justice, Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Madam Somadder, young lady, Justice A.P. Subba and Justice S.P. Wangdi, retired judges of this court, the learned judicial officers, senior advocates, officers of the court, and our institution, honored guest, the Honorable VC of the Sikkim National Law University, with such well-researched and passionate statements from the bar, there is little for me to speak. But I do need to say this. The certainty of the date of our superannuation, as I noticed, unlike life, is a strong reminder for all of us in public life to spend our time in the service of the institution and the nation. That, to my mind, is our only calling. If not anyone else, history would surely judge us. The Chief Justice has had a long inning in the High Courts and this court. On the judicial side, I have had the opportunity to learn from his experiences. I had the liberty of thought, expression, and belief. Every judgment penned by me was carefully examined and agreed upon. I'm discounting the grammatical errors, though, as it brought in a bit of humor in our interactions. Quite evidently, the Chief Justice's long years of experience in the bench guided the proceeding presided by him with certainty of purpose and a lashing of humor that softened the serious ambience. As you embark upon your new journey, I wish you, Madam, and your family well. Fare thee well, Chief.
Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai.
Good afternoon, everyone. My colleagues on the bench and everyone, all the guests. As much has been said today across the length and breadth of Allahabad, Meghalaya, Sikkim, High Courts, and all aspects have been covered. I'm of the view that there is nothing further to add, and I wish the Chief Justice and his family all the very best for the time that lies ahead of them. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn to speak. Ladyship Justice Rai, Lordship Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Sikkim National Law University, former judges of this jurisdiction, Justice Subba and Justice Wangdi, former judge of a jurisdiction where I served earlier, of Allahabad High Court, Justice Mayank Jain, who has taken the trouble to come all the way from Delhi, I think. Learned additional Advocate Generals of the Government of Sikkim, all members of the registry, judicial officers, of the entire state of Sikkim, office bearers of the two bar association, senior advocates, learned members of the bar, of course, the law secretary is here, but I would consider him as a judicial officer, not as a government officer. Each members of this High Court, in whichever capacity they serve, present in this courtroom, either recording whatever I am speaking through the ancient method of stenography or through the electronic method of digital recording. Former district judge serving quite a few jurisdictions in West Bengal, Mr. Sengupta, who is present here. My court officers and staffs who have taken the pain from coming from Calcutta, personal guests of mine, some from faraway shores halfway across the globe, and some from nearer home. Last but not the least, my family members, my wife and daughter. I have to say at the very outset that I am humbled, not just touched, but humbled by whatever you have said about me with such graciousness. I do not know whether I deserve all that has been said about me, but I must confess that every utterance of yours, either from the bar or from the bench, will be embedded in my mind forever to come till I lose my consciousness. I come from a city which was established in and around 1690 by Job Charnock. City was situated in the lower Gangetic plains, and it seems that I was destined to travel higher. Let me explain how. From the lower Gangetic plains, where I began my career as a lawyer, as you have said, it's all documented, as a 25-year-old in 1989. Till 17 years practice put me to an elevation, to be elevated as a judge of the Calcutta High Court in the age of 42. And then continuing for a decade and a half or so. My journey from Calcutta, from the lower Gangetic plain, took me upwards, the Gangetic plain, and brought me to a very holy place in India, It's referred to, that holy area is referred to as the Sangam. The place is referred to as Triveni, and all of you would know it as Prayagraj or Allahabad. So from the oldest High Court of India to the largest High Court of India, it's the journey. And the journey didn't stop there. I think the mysterious forces of nature thought that this man has had enough in the plains. He must travel a little higher. So destiny took me to the hills. The three famous hills of Garo, Khasi and Jaintia, where I performed my duties during the COVID times as the Chief Justice of Meghalaya High Court. And then one fine day, I think the Meghalaya High Court Chief Justice's Secretariat said that there is a notification for your transfer from Meghalaya to Sikkim. I just looked at the notification and I said, well, it's again a calling. I told to myself, obviously not to anyone else, that I am being upgraded. Again, the mysterious forces of nature determined that this man has done enough in the hills. Now he should go to the mountains. So there I was, here in Gangtok, practically in the lap of the holy mountain range of Kanchenjunga. As all of you might be noticing in the last few days, thanks to the improved weather condition, we are getting to see the whole range in all its mystical beauty and splendor, which brings me the assurance every day that in front of Mother Nature, we are nothing. Absolutely nothing. In these years, 4 years, 2 months, and a few more days, I did what I thought was right and never doubted any step that I took, either in the judicial side or in the administrative side. Now let me tell you what this state has achieved. And I must add a caveat. Here I am not blowing a trumpet of my own. What I am saying is a result of a concerted team effort where all of you gathered here are the players. I may be a team leader. Nowadays, a modern expression is team, and even modern expression is team leader. A few months ago, an independent body, it's called the Tata Trust, collated data from all jurisdictional high courts and broadly divided the Indian judicial map into two distinct categories. And rightly so, because it's very difficult to paint a canvas as big as India with the same brush. The India Justice Report divided the judicial map into the larger states and the smaller states. While determining how each jurisdictional high court functioned, or each state functioned rather, it took into consideration various factors, such as what's the pendency, what's the rate of disposal, how much vacancies are there across the state, how many under trial prisoners are there, how is the legal service authority functioning. There were maybe other few parameters I can't recall because I have not prepared and come here. I'm speaking straight from my heart. So the leader amongst the small states is our state, Sikkim. And this was not possible without your help, support, and cooperation. And it was not possible without every one of you contributing in your own way to make this High Court the court or the jurisdiction of not only the High Court, it's my mistake, all the jurisdiction, as the state having the lowest pendency in the entire country. One of the things that I have kept in mind all through my public service, which is almost 20 years, are a few random thoughts which I want to share with you. Then I will come to something else. One is one little phrase I had learned when I was in school: pride comes before a fall. I threw away my ego and I never related myself with it in my public service. So I never let pride come into my way. I was never self-seeking or arrogant or full of myself or pompous by nature. Which I have seen a plenty. There are many people who claim they play with a straight bat. But in reality, those bats are very crooked. Here, I must take the opportunity to make a few points which are required to be told. It's about myself, since I'm supposed to respond to the full court orations. I never changed or created, for that matter, narratives to buy my future. I have never tinkered with narratives of others to consolidate my career. That, in my view, is what integrity is all about. That's also called courage. That's, according to me, of course, what judges and chief justices should be made of, ideally speaking. I always chose a path which, according to me, was the right path. And that path was only made of principles that led to the formation of my character. So, whatever you have said in this reference, I have shared with you how I have formed myself in years, over the years. Now, a question may come to our mind whether I have any regrets. So there was this singer-songwriter in USA. I do not know whether he's still alive. His name is Paul Anka. So the second stanza of a song which he dedicated to Frank Sinatra, which Frank Sinatra also sang, was regrets. I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. In a nutshell, this is all that I can say of myself in public service. And I must, before parting with this full court reference, say something which is dear to me. I don't know what led me to Sikkim. As I sort of said, that from the lower Gangetic plains to Sangam, and then a little diversion to the hills, and finally to the mountains. In my 62 years of age, I'll be 62 in 2 days or 3 days, I have never ever come across a state like Sikkim with the people who are so endearing to me. The simplicity of this region, the purity of the air that I breathe, and I am saying this both literally and metaphorically, if I may say, I have become addicted. I am blessed by the mysterious forces of nature for having been given an opportunity to work here in Sikkim. I have been blessed to be a part of you. I have been blessed to consider this as my home. Thank you.
With the permission of my lord, may I declare
Yes.
co-proceeds?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congrats.